Welcome to another episode of the Coffee Roaster Warm Sessions podcast. Serge, how goes it? Tell me about your fancy outfit.
Dude, I love that you brought it up.
You came in unexpected. I wasn't expecting.
Dude. I kind of
What's the inspiration behind this? So if you're just listening to this might be your time to try to give watching a shot.
Yeah.
Just for this episode at least.
Yeah, I can give a play-by-play about what I'm wearing to give some theater to the ears.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell, I'm wearing Alien Combat boots from Doc Marten.
Okay.
I'm wearing a Dickies one-piece, what's it called? Like a one-piece like work suit, basically.
Something you'd probably see your grandpa working in the car shop.
Yeah, in the car shop. Sick. Yeah. I'm wearing a Calvin Klein tank top that's slightly visible. And then I'm wearing some very cheap rectangular shades, like Amazon cheap, like where you buy 10 for like $20.
What a steal.
Yeah. They're also like not really shades.
Bargain.
Like they're slightly tinting so you can still see my eyes if you're watching. Totally. And then I'm wearing a bucket hat from Narrative Coffee.
Wow.
So, what's this material called again?
Corduroy
bucket hat from Narrative Coffee.
Wow.
It's a vibe. I worked the whole day behind the bar with glasses on. Dude, my tips were at an all-time high.
Wow.
I'll tell you that.
Wow.
Dude, I'm telling you. And
big tips. Both
big
real
tips.
tips and little
big
tips for you guys. Lots of tips.
Big dropping them like it's hot, dude.
This episode is already full of all kinds of tips and tricks.
Applicable application,
Wow.
like one-on-one. But side note, like also we I threw up a little poll after my like outfit of the day fit check, kind of little story on the gram, and people are here for it. People are here for these outfit of the day things that I'm throwing up there. And on top of that, people want a whole episode on coffee professional outfits and like outfits for baristas. Something that was nice. I think I'm going to start scripting out. I also had a very,
I'm going to have to check those responses.
Dude,
I don't
you're
know.
Gonna have to,
I'm skeptical.
Percentage is like
Who's
80,
out there?
Last time I checked is 89% of my people who responded want to see a Mirror Coffee Roaster warm-up session episode on outfits. I think it would be super fun, actually. I think it would be beneficial. I have some ideas as an owner and what you can do for your team to have them be stylish and get big tips.
Wow.
But I also had a very prominent coffee professional in my eyes. He's a very prominent coffee professional, maybe in other people's eyes as well, that said he may want to come up on the pod with us and talk about this topic. I think he's I'm not going to drop his name because he didn't ask permissions, but I think he would only come on the pod to roast me.
Dang.
That's it. Because I already know that he hates these glasses.
Wow.
So
tell me it's the infamous fashionable Nathaniel Rappert.
No comment.
Nah, come on.
No comment. Oh, man. Yeah. So I think we might have to do that. I mean, we have some stuff, we have some stuff coming up when it comes to guests. Working on a very prominent competitor who's won multiple championships, one of the winningest. That's not, I'm going to leave it there. One of the winningest something competitor. It might come on with another buddy of mine. We'll have a good chat. I'm stoked on that. It's going to be a good time. I just saw him the other day and so he's going to be great. I'm stoked to have him on the pod. And then hopefully other stuff like with some guests like I'm mentioning would be super fun to have some topics that, we talk about a lot of serious stuff like how to run a business and how we run a business and like stuff in the coffee industry. But I think sprinkling in a few fun convos with people that are still applicable and practical. Yeah, I think the whole outfit of the day and barista fit checks is a big phenomenon. Like all over, you see a lot of those posts. So
sweet. There you have it, friends. Let's pour some batchy.
Don't you dare spill some. I don't have a mop in here. Dude, you know what this looks like? You know that painting? Yeah. Whoa. Nice.
For those of you listening, that is coffee pouring. Nothing else.
not a leak from the roof, even though something like crashed on this roof. Oh. Having this coffee in comparison to another coffee that we recently had, this coffee slaps.
What?
I think this coffee slaps right now.
It slaps. I think it could use a little finer. I think it's a little under.
Yeah. Just so juicy.
But it is. The aromas, actually, for this coffee, just brewed sitting in the craft, was pretty. Actually, I was not expecting such intensity. So
definitely a lot of like yellow flavors. I think.
Say yellow flavors.
Yellow flavors.
What are yellow flavors?
Like nice juicy brightness, not peachy. I'm not gonna say peach, but like this nice juicy acidity, a little brighter acidity than normal than you would consider like in a stone fruit. But maybe, and that could be due to the slight under extraction. There's still like that sweetness. I don't know what we categorized it, but it's almost like maybe brown sugar is a wrong thing to put it.
That's what we
put on the flavor notes.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. It has like this like brown sugary sweetness, like not like a. I think a lot of the times, especially using a flavor note like brown sugar on a bag, people think it's slightly roasty.
No. Yeah,
this is not even close to tasting roasty.
it's like candied brown sugar almost. Like if you were to get, I don't know. There's these Russian candies called Korovka, which is a tasty little candy, but when you take it apart, it's literally just like a cube of sugar almost, pretty much.
With dairy.
With dairy, yeah. It's almost
creamy.
like condensed milk, like a caramel condensed milk.
Yeah.
But it's very just sweet, just like it's just candy heavy.
Yeah.
And this,
it's not
that's what
caramely.
we're talking about where brown sugar is.
Yeah, it's not caramely like burnt brown sugar.
And it also gives me a little bit of like a molasses cookie.
I was gonna say that, but sometimes I don't like throwing out molasses.
But it's not. It's just slightly kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice. It's actually probably become a very, very enjoyable coffee for me.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this was solid when we got it. I liked it, but I just like it more than I've ever liked it. So
I agree. It's a good coffee.
Yeah, but cool. Well, this is for those of you who don't know, this is the Columbia Huela anaerobic washed from Miller.
Yeah.
Miller Nanyes, and it's
PB.
It's a pink bourbon.
Yeah.
Rockin'.
It's solid coffee. On top of speaking of our coffees, like I'm super stoked to hear and to see that people are really stoked on getting those unlabeled bags. So that was a great response from people. So I'm stoked for all of y'all to have it, but also to hear what people say about an unlabeled bag. Like we've never done this before. This is kind of like a fun little thing we started doing recently. So like I think that's great, and I'm curious. We still have some more, so if you haven't jumped on the train, there's still time.
I'm not sure.
Oh,
because
really?
by the time this episode airs, this is going to be 2 weeks from today.
Probably.
So we may or may not, but we are dropping another coffee in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
We'll have a roast of it. That's a really nice coffee.
Yes.
It's arguably one of my, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
it's nice. We'll see. The coffee that we have, the first no label drop, may or may not exist, but there will be a no label drop of another coffee that's coming on the way. So keep your eyes peeled for that.
Yeah,
but
sick. But yeah, I'm stoked on that. It's a good fun idea, and it's a little bit of play. I know some of the folks who are buying that coffee, and I'm curious to see what they would say. Yeah. They would be like very prominent to us to respond, and like, so yeah, super stoked on that.
We're adding a little bit of a surprise and delight. Sergi doesn't even know about this, but a little surprise and delight for the people who or some of the first purchasers of the No Label, it's just a little treat.
Nice.
For you guys.
Little refill code?
What?
Refill code?
It might be something even better than that. So, just a little treat for those who were just there to snack some. So thank you. It's also like I think this is actually like a really cool, I'm not saying this just because it is, but it's just a really cool opportunity to pick up some coffee for a fraction of the price. But anyways, that all being said, catering.
Yep. Yes, we've done a decent amount of time. I remember a few. Did you and I do a wedding together, or did I do it by myself? Like, I've done weddings, catering weddings, pop-up events. Remember that one time we went to an elementary school and did Teacher Appreciation Day?
That was actually really cool. I liked that. Yeah, that was fun.
We did espresso. Even the kids got a little bit of coffee, which I was shocked about the teachers. I was like, dude, these parents, they're in for a treat after their kid has some espresso. But yes, like that was super cool. Then we did another one with a local business here, like a jewelry store called Apps. We did a little pop-up catering thing. And I think that's one of the things like I really want to talk about here. This is not the same as like doing a home cafe.
Yeah. Like,
this is a different concept that we've been thinking about. We just did one this week as well. But it's more or less like, hey, how can we bring of a service to maybe a local business, a local organization, a local group? We did it for nonprofits, you and I before locally. And the goal is to brew coffee for a large amount of people and provide a catering service with your product. And I think there's a lot of benefits to that, especially to small businesses. Like, one, you and I, as owners of the company, got to represent our company to a group of people. And not only is the audience created for us, we're also being paid to do this.
Right.
So it's a win-win. It's like you and I get to talk to people directly and be like, yo, like, we roasted this coffee, we brewed it to you, we prepared it to you, enjoy. We can leave it at that. Now they have a face to the brand kind of thing, similar to what our podcast does on a bigger scale.
Right.
But this is very personal and intentional connection with the audience. And then at the end of the day, you're getting paid to bring a product.
Yes.
Which I think is like super dope on both fronts. Like, one, if I was hiring a caterer, that's what I would expect from a caterer, to bring their product and be super passionate about it. And one, I believe in their product. It's a high quality product. And then I have the owner talking about and serving people. That's incredible. Even from a booking, like if I was booking a caterer, you know. So I think it's a win-win for both parties, and also an incredible opportunity for a small business or a smaller coffee roasting company or a smaller cafe to get their word out.
Yeah, I think that there's just a lot of pros. It can be a little cumbersome. You might need to set up a few workflow specific things, which can be a little painful, especially if you're not doing too many of them. So you're actually doing something very out there, maybe just a few times a year. But yeah, I think there's a lot of benefit. It's a sale. People are buying coffee, but also, I think that like getting that word out to people and thinking about it less as from a sales standpoint, but thinking about it more as this is an opportunity for you to reach people that may not have come across your brand, there may not be even coffee like people. They may never go to a coffee shop.
Right.
Like, but you're getting in front of them and you're able to provide a beverage at, your level of quality, your level of experience, and completely give them a very great first impression experience with your brand. And that is huge. And I know, like, I'm glad you brought up the whole podcast thing because, like, that's what social media is. Getting in front of people, giving them a little taste. But the problem is they're not tasting your coffee. They're not experiencing your product. So you get a little bit of both. You get like a face impression, a brand recognition, but then also, people are able to experience your product. And so, and I think also making an emphasis on the fact that it's people who you might not have been able to reach before.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's huge.
Yeah. And simply think about it. Like, let's say the CEO of this company, you're friends with this owner, founder of a company. You only know them, but you probably don't know all of their employees and all of their demographic. Like, let's say a company is holding a banquet. They're inviting people of a certain demographic.
Yes.
They're inviting a community of folks that you may never tap into. They may never find or have not found your Instagram yet. But simply because you know one person in the company that's hiring you, you're getting to connect to all of the people that they know. So in a sense, it's a merging of different circles of people, and also a merging of like different networks. So like social networks before they get to your Instagram.
Yeah.
And you have if you're the one who's doing this catering, like you as an owner of the company, you have the opportunity to set the tone in what they will think about your product. One, whether it has to do with like the way you prepare and brew the product, but two, how you represent and talk about your product. So it's a win-win. I remember I did this wedding in a greenhouse down south, like in Burlington area. And I had no idea who the people were, but they heard of me through another coffee company. They DM'd me and said, hey, would you like to do this? I was like, sick, let's do it. But the demographic of people that were in that room, way above my pay grade. And the reality is like, oh, we've heard of you from a friend who runs a coffee company in Seattle, and now we get to like taste and experience your coffee. And I got to connect with the amount of conversation I've had with those people. I would have never stepped in the room with those people if it wasn't for this event.
Yeah.
And that was like very like encouraging for me to say. Sometimes, yes, the logistics of these things can be super cumbersome.
It is,
and difficult. But if you create a plan for that, I think there's a very big ROI on that, especially for local reach of that.
For sure. I think that, that reminds me of, literally back when I used to shoot way more weddings, like once realistically, it's like if you do a really good job a few times, you're pretty much set for like the next few summers. Cause, Auntie Sue got married, and then all of a sudden, her cousin, her sister, her friend. Yeah. And all of a sudden it's like, depending on the circles that you get into, all of a sudden you've pretty much, if you do a really good job and you crush it, you pretty much can rest assured that there are people from that bridal party, that event that will just hire you. And I got that a lot, where you show up and you're just doing your job and people are like, oh man, like you see, I don't know why, like I guess people, you look like you know what you're doing, or while you're doing such a good job. It's like,
it's like, I haven't even seen my product.
And then all of a sudden, and all of a sudden it's like they will most likely. So like depending on the circles that you get into, it could be like a very trickle down effect where you get into a room of like business owners, and most of them will probably throw another event that needs somebody. And why would they go and reach out to Bob Joe, who they've never worked with, when they've just experienced your product?
Exactly.
And they have an event coming up in a month. It's actually very easy for them to be like, I'll just hire this guy.
Yeah. Well, let me talk to him right now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's actually, it's
a benefit. And on top of that, it's like, you've probably heard this before. I've definitely heard. It's like you set up your table and you maybe like we have an EK that goes on the table. People are like, he even had that one grinder that looks like something from Star Wars. He used the little needle things. Like, you know what I mean? People just get fascinated by that. And then like they want to bring you back and they want to share that experience more than the product with the product to other people. And then, so that's one way to do that. There's a benefit of that when you're doing catering. The other thing is like market research, right? Again, you have this demographic of people that you get to talk to and literally ask questions like, dude, how do you drink coffee at home? And because this is not at a coffee shop, this is probably at an event that they're going to be there for a couple of hours. Like the hardest for us, for you and I, it's harder to not have extended conversations with people than to have conversations with people. Because sometimes these conversations just open up a whole can of worms, and you're talking to one person. There's a line of like 10 people that want to get coffee. But because it's a different environment, that's not a cafe, you have the control of asking all the questions. You have the control to pick the brain of the people who are going to consume your product right now. You can literally say, how does that taste to you? Like, you don't even have to show them flavor notes. Like, how does that taste to you? And then basically come up to a conclusion with live factual data right there to understand your product better from a consumer point of view.
100%. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I mean, just talking about this, we just did one this week for like a conference that I had no idea, but I guess people from around the world flew in for, which is so random because it's like in like the most random place ever.
Where was it again?
Broadway Hall right next to.
Oh, dude. You just clicked the dots. I served multiple people that came in this narrative from, that's a big event. I never connected the dots that that's the event you were doing.
Yeah. And it was like we just did one this week, and now I'm like thinking, I'm like, oh man, like after this conversation, I'm like, this might be a good idea.
People came from all over the world to that conference.
Yeah, it's like some guy from I saw some guy from Africa. I met a guy from Alabama that flew in. I'm like, what are you guys doing here?
Yeah,
like,
wow,
so random.
That's so cool. I did not realize that.
Yeah, but any final words as to words of encouragement for folks?
I think if you haven't dabbled in like that catering thing, it's worth giving it a shot. Especially if you're looking for some market research, or you're looking to just open up different social networks, connect with businesses, offer that kind of catering service, and see where it takes you.
Cool. There it is, friends. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Coffee Roaster Home Stitches podcast. My posture was just terrible throughout that episode. But anyways, as we always say, remember, reflect what's good.